Hey there, everybody. This is DevBiker here. And with me today, I have the iCUE Link LS430 Aurora Kit. So this has two RGB strips in it, but in particular, I'm kind of curious to play with the new iCUE Link adapter. This will convert the iCUE Link system into a 3-pin Corsair connector. Exactly what it's going to be capable of, I'm not quite sure yet, so I'm kind of excited to see what we can do with it. We're going to start off with an unboxing, kind of take a look at what's in the box and go through everything in there. And then we are going to hook everything up and see what that initial turn-on experience is like and getting it set up in iCUE and get a quick look at what they look like. So go ahead and join me. Let's get started. So taking a look at the box, pretty standard Corsair coloring, Corsair marketing. See that it's iCUE Link LS430. On the back here, a couple of different languages. So with my glasses, 2x diffused lighting strips with 49 RGB LEDs per strip. So it's going to be a total of 98 LEDs, customized and sync lighting with Corsair iCUE, versatile and convenient magnetic attachment. So yeah, they're doing everything magnetic now, which is good. Hated that I had to glue magnets onto the Commander Pro and Lighting Node Pro. So the fact that all of these things have been magnetic is just fantastic. So let's go ahead, without further ado, let's do the fun stuff. So we've got just two little pieces of tape. One here, one right here, one right here. There we go. So I'll open it up. Alrighty. So what do we have in here? We've got a iCUE Link cable. Looks like it's got kind of a different sleeving than some of the other ones. But you know, other than that, short little iCUE Link cable. You could probably use any link cable that you wanted. Safety and compliance information. Warranty guide. Okay, so what have we here? So we have this little baggie. Let's take a look in it. What we have here is, okay, looks like it is a connector. Next, let's take a look at the cables that we have. Okay. Trying to be nice to it. Get rid of that plastic. There we go. All right, so everything is well and truly twist tied. All right, so what do we have in here? We have, it looks like an iCUE or Corsair 3-pin to motherboard ARGB, so kind of the standard motherboard. I hate calling it standard. Motherboard ARGB connectors. And then we have two Corsair 3-pin extensions. These are, let's see, how long are these things? Looks like they are nominally about 41 millimeters in length. Okay, and this one's going to be probably about, okay, so about 32 millimeters in length. Okay, so those are the cables. So this one is telling us, interestingly, that Corsair is recognizing that people are going to connect their stuff to non-Corsair products. All right, so let's take a look. This is the device I've kind of been waiting for since they announced it. So pull it out of here, and so we've got some double-coated strips. Now this is magnetic, so we shouldn't really need these. But I wonder if these are if you don't have something magnetic, let's say you want to put these on your desk or something, you could run the cable from here. So maybe just to glue the strips. So here it is. So this is the Link adapter. And we've got 1, 2. So this will do probably a pass-through connection, would be my guess, so that you could put this in line with some other with fans or an AIO or whatever. It's only got one 3-pin RGB connector. Now this is 5 volt. All of the power on the Corsair Link system is 12 volts, so this is going to have, you take a look in there, I don't know how well we can see that, but there is certainly some logic in there. There's a logic board, and it's going to have a buck converter in there as well. And then here are the strips. So the strips, here they are. They are definitely magnetic. They're magnetic all the way down the entirety of the strip itself. So these are going to mount inside the case really, really well. Unlike the LS100s, the LS100s were really designed to be outside the case, but a lot of people really like them inside the case. So they didn't have the magnetic all the way down, so they didn't necessarily stick as well. These are much thinner. Give me 1 second. Let me grab an LS100. All right, here we go. So this is one of the previous external ones. This is looks like the 450 millimeter. All right, so comparable, almost comparable in length. You can see that the older ones are, yeah, they're a bit wider. They're also a bit higher. So these are really designed to fit better inside of a case than these were. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to get this connected to the system for the first time. Okay, so we're back, and we have everything hooked up and ready to test. Let me just kind of give a quick overview of kind of my little setup here. So we'll start off with an HX1200i here. Now this is outside the case. I have a little switch for it over here so that I can turn it on. So right now it's actually off. This isn't powering the system. But what it will let us do is take a look at how much power these are using on the 12 volt rail. Because of course the Link hub is all 12 volt, and the connection from the Link hub to all the devices is also all 12 volt. Now, the strips and the Corsair 3-pin is 5 volt, WS2812B, 5 volt addressable RGB. So inside this, as I mentioned before, we're going to have a buck converter, and on the connection between the Link adapter and the strips, I've got a multimeter that's set to show me the amperage on how much current these things are actually pulling when we light them up. So without further ado, let us go ahead and take a look at this and kind of walk through that initial experience. So we have iCUE up here. Here we go. And I am going to turn on the power supply. Here we go. So the power supply is on. You can see that iCUE picked it up and went ahead and put some icons on there. So you can see before we do anything, we've got 32 watts that's being used. So let's go ahead, and this is getting power. So right here we have USB. This is standard micro USB, and we're going to go ahead and plug this in. Make sure I get it in the right way. Helps. There we go. So iCUE should pick this up in just a second. There we go. So you see it detected the device. It's installing the modules. So this is kind of what we expect it to do. Alrighty. And it's telling me I have a message down here in Windows. You can't see here that I do have a firmware update for my iCUE Link System Hub. Now you can see that it already recognizes also that I have the Aurora series on here. So let's go in here. Let's just see what it does before I do that firmware update. Let's go into our lighting setup. Okay, and so we can see that we have LS Aurora strips. But look at all this stuff that we can select here. So we've got the RGB LED strips, LL fans, QL fans, Hydro X series. So if you've got the classic Hydro X, some of the devices, you can put that on here. External strips, so those are going to be the LS100 strips, 8 LED series fans, ARGB PSU cable strip, LC100 triangles, iCUE Link 9000D RGB airflow. That's interesting. Didn't expect to see that there. All right, so if we come in here, you know what, before I set this up, let's go ahead and run the wizard. So here we go. Here is your iCUE Link adapter port. Yes, I figured that out. Thank you. Lighting channel. Okay, so we've got pictures of all the stuff. Now this is interesting. If you look over here, the 8 LED series fans, this right here is not one of the 8 LED series fans. This is the original 4 LED ML Pro. Now the ML's had an update. Is it the ML Elite? Maybe it's I can't keep them all straight. But they did have an update for 8-pin. But this is the image for the original 4-pin. So we see Hydro X there. We know that we have the LS Aurora series here. So let's go ahead and say next. We've got 2 450 millimeter strips. And ooh, look at this. Maximum brightness was reduced. Interesting. Okay. Let's go ahead and say next. Adapter layout. This should probably be showing something, right? I mean, I've got red and I can do this, move them back and forth. Interesting. But these aren't lighting up. I'll bet that's going to be from the firmware update. Let's go ahead and hit next and finish. Yeah, so we can see, here we go. So this is a rainbow setup. We're not drawing any power at all for these. So I'm going to guess, let's go to home. Yeah, you see we're not seeing any power being drawn from the HX1200 either. I'll bet that's going to be for the firmware update. So let's go ahead and come into our settings here. Yep, we see that this is the original firmware, 16336, but we've got 29488 available. So let's go ahead and update now. Yeah. All right, so in a minute, hopefully, there we go, updating. All right, so we've got the firmware updated, and I actually had to restart iCUE, which was kind of interesting. I had to restart iCUE before I could actually control the colors on the strips, which I wasn't expecting. I expected it once the firmware update worked to just go ahead and be able to change them willy-nilly. But much to my surprise, that didn't happen. The only thing that happened was apparently these were in hardware mode, near as I can figure. They were in hardware mode, and so they went ahead and lit up. And because that's the same as the default mode that's on here right now, I didn't notice it. So let's go ahead and right now, we are looking at 0.88, 0.89 amps that we're pulling on the 5-volt connection, which really isn't a lot. That's maybe about 4.5 watts or so, a little less, but about 4.5 watts, which like I said, is which is pretty surprising because these Molex SL, which is the connector that they use for these, will handle up to 3 amps by spec on the connector. So let's go ahead and take a look though. Let's see what happens if we put this to all white. So there we go. We now have it on all white. We can see that our 12 volt current and 12 volt wattage really didn't move much, right? So we're still sitting at 0.5 amps on the 12 volt rail. That's 22 watts. So not a heck of a lot. You see we've got 38 watts in. The efficiency at this kind of low load is not very good. The white is actually somewhat bluish, which may be due to the low power mode, but at this point we're still only drawing 1.14 amps. So it would seem like they're being quite conservative on the power budget and turning it down, which is somewhat surprising because we could very easily do double the current. So that would be 2.28, 2.3 amps. We would be able to do that easily enough with these connectors. And we should be able to do it because this has 12 volt coming in. We're going to have a buck converter in here. We'll take a look at it when I open this thing up in another video. So I have to wonder if maybe the power limitation is to prevent overload of the buck converter. I don't know, but that would seem to be an awfully small buck converter to have in here, because I mean you've got 12 volts available and plenty of power available. So yeah, that's kind of surprising. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap up. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with the Aurora strips. I like how thin they are. They're nice. They have a good color, and they're going to fit really well inside the case. I really like that they have the magnet all the way down the entirety of the strip. That's going to make them stick very well to the side of the case. I will say that I was pretty surprised that we only have one 3-pin port in here. I would think with the power that we have, there would be the budget to put 2 of them on here like we have on the Lighting Node Pro and the Commander Pro. But I'm sure there's a good reason for it, probably dealing with power budget. Now, the one thing that did confuse me was this little connector. I wasn't really sure. It didn't make much sense to me. Didn't really think about it too deeply until a bit later. And what it occurs to me is this is perfect to go ahead and connect this directly to the Link hub. So that way it takes up less space inside the case. You don't have the additional little wire coming from it. You can use this for other things if you want. I would say, though, make sure that you put one of the end caps on here if you don't have it connected to another cable. But you should have those end caps with your Link hub. Although it would be nice if Corsair did include an end cap with this just in case. I'm also kind of surprised that these aren't available separately, at least not yet at the time that I'm doing this. I'm hoping that in the very near future, Corsair will make these available separately because I can see a lot of folks wanting to grab one of these to integrate other stuff that they already have into the Link system, whether that's another Corsair device, the legacy fans, or even third-party RGB devices, because there's no reason why they can't. They certainly include the adapter. Another thing that I think is worth mentioning is that in order to connect the old fans, you're going to need one of these. Now, this is the Corsair RGB LED hub. This was the original hub that came with the original old school SP fans, HD fans, and LL fans. But they switched over to using the Lighting Node core with the 8 LED SP fans and the rest of the 8 LED fans and the QL fans.
Now, the lighting node core will not work with this at all. So that would be fine, except that these are discontinued. So they're very hard to come by. Now, if you have LL fans, you'll have one of these. If you have the QL fans or the 8-pin LED fans, you probably won't, because those come with the lighting node core, which unhelpfully often has RGB hub on the plastic casing. But that is not going to work. You're going to need an original RGB fan LED hub with 3-pin input and then 6 fan outputs, and it's also going to have no USB connector, but it will have a power connector. If you want to use this to control the older fans, you're going to have to see where you can get one of those. Then last thing is there's no reason also why these can't connect to a Lighting Node Pro or Commander Pro or the LS100 controller if you have that, or even the Commander Core XT, which has a 3-pin port. Note that's the XT, not the Commander Core that comes with the Capellix coolers. But iCUE won't let you add these to those devices, at least not with the current version. That said, you can certainly tell iCUE that you have, say, the external LS100 strips on there, and it should light them up just fine. So if you want to do that, you certainly can, although these are not available separately without the Link adapter. So you'll still get this whether you want to use it or not. All right, thanks for joining me. That's all we have for now. We will be back later. I'm going to play a lot more with this device, take a look at some of the different things that we can do with it, connect a bunch of different devices to it, take a look at what the power draw is based on different settings in iCUE. So I'm looking forward to playing with it quite a bit. I'll be posting those as well, and I hope you join me for that. So until next time, this is DevBiker, and I'll catch you later.